Within hours, news of Cliff's death reached Metallica's fans in America. One such fan was Flotsam and Jetsam bassist Jason Newsted.
I remember tears hitting the newspaper. Killed in Sweden, Metallica bassist Cliff Burton, 24 years old or whatever, and I'm just lost it.
Lars, James, and Kirk returned to San Francisco to attend the funeral of their friend and bandmate.
Lars took over from then on, and, you know, in all fairness to Lars, without Lars Ulrich, that band wouldn't be where they are today.
With the added pressure of a Japanese tour scheduled to begin within a month, the band auditioned 40 prospective bassists in San Francisco.
I can remember those auditions just being really, really bad because we were drinking throughout the whole thing. We were still grieving, obviously.
We tried out quite a few people. Les Claypool from Primus was actually one of them.
Lars was all, "You're not used to playing this kind of music, are you?" And I was like, "No, hey, you know, you guys want to jam on some Isley Brothers tunes, you know?" And nobody laughed at my joke.
He was too good. He was like, "Okay, you got your own thing," you know.
They never called me, and I wept like a little girl.
Well, a guy would come in that just didn't look right or whatever, plug the bass in for 20 seconds, next. I mean, it was cold. And I'm just going whole. I was shaking in my boots.
Jason, we thought, was the man.
Kind of the punter vibe, but he had the energy that we were looking for. We sat down and we decided he's going to be the guy, so we took him to this place, Tommy's Joint in San Francisco, where we kind of like to hang, and took him out to grub, and Lars and I went in the bathroom to piss together. It's like, let's go tell him now, okay?
Lars comes out, "Do you want a job?" And I go, "Nah, I guess." And he goes, "Okay, you're going to be bass roadie." And I'm like, her, you know? Like, he goes, "No, you got it, man. You're in. You want to play with us?" And I'm like, "Shah!"
Jason's jumping off the table and doing backflips and all this stuff. It's like, okay, all right, man, you know. But soon after that was the hazing.
We gave him a pretty tough time because we didn't want him to think that he just like waltzed into a perfect situation, you know? Now, I hate to say this, but Jason became the scapegoat for you know, the tragic loss that we had just experienced with Cliff.
With the specter of Cliff Burton's death hanging over the band, they embarked for Japan in the fall of 1986. But for Metallica and their new bass player, the transition was a hard one.
We were all trying to see his boiling point, you know, or how much he can take, you know.
Loving him means that he has to accept us for who we are, which is not easy.
I mean, everyone thinks, wow, this guy's landed the greatest gig, etc. On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, think of all the baggage that he's got to plow through, plus he's got those three.
Still mourning the loss of Cliff Burton, Metallica found an outlet for their anger and rage in the recording studio. Their album, And Justice for All, was a progressive, frenzied, and violent album that pronounced the death of the American dream and found immediate favor with heavy metal fans.
They'll leave a venue like at 4 o'clock in the morning and there's kids still waiting out there. It doesn't make a difference how tired they are. They'll talk to every single one, sign every single piece of paper. They're incredibly gracious and generous, and their fans know it and appreciate it.
We're just 4 lucky fans that got together and started playing. This could be you.
In October of 1990, Metallica entered the studio to record their 5th album with producer Bob Rock.
So I saw them live, and I was very surprised to see how powerful they were.
He came to us and said, "Look, you haven't captured what you're capable of on a record yet."
So I just wanted them to sound better. And basically, by sounding better, hopefully the audience would get bigger and more people could get into Metallica.
Say your prayers, little one, don't forget my son, to include everyone.
The recording process took over 10 months and cost over $1 million. The grueling sessions were plagued by creative differences and personal conflicts.
Throughout the whole recording, we were so anal about everything, so protected about everything, so guarded about everything, that it created a lot of tension.
We forgot why we were there, to create and play music.
By the time the album was finished, 3 out of 4 of us were divorced.
But by surviving the creative turmoil, Metallica emerged a stronger, better band. In August of 1991, they released their self-titled 5th album. The controversial cover reinforced the no rules but Metallica rules ethic. Black sleeve, black logo, no explanations.
We've got a bone to pick with these. You know, it's called Black Album. It's called Black Album. Now, where did the idea come from to do an all-black album, Metallica representatives?
The Black Album entered Billboard at #1 and went double platinum in less than 2 weeks. It went on to sell 18 million copies worldwide and helped draw a mainstream audience to uncompromising heavy metal. Metallica toured relentlessly for the next 2.5 years, playing more than 300 dates worldwide.
Obviously, they're known for touring and touring and touring and touring, but in this kind of music, they proved to be the ultimate road dogs.
Since day one, that's how we got our fan base. We got to love playing live, and touring was our thing.
The band stopped in Moscow to perform for a crowd of over 500,000 Russian rock and roll fans.
Russian boys running up, hugging you, going, "We love Metallica," you know. We've been waiting our whole lives, and the energy that we got from them was just so amazing.
But in the turbulent wake of perestroika, the enthusiasm of the crowd clashed with the Russian military authorities. Violence erupted.
It's all military, beating kids down, just whacking them. They don't know, they don't understand what a release is at a show. They don't know what's going on here.
During the show, the band was unaware of the mayhem. When the music stopped, Metallica was shocked to learn about the brutality that raged while they played.
I believe there was like 200 rapes, 11 deaths, people just beaten to a pulp.
In the spring of 1992, a summer tour was planned featuring Metallica with Guns N' Roses.
We wanted to get the two biggest bands together on one bill and do a stadium tour across America.
I'd always had an infatuation with Guns N' Roses. Always had an infatuation with bands that are unpredictable and dangerous.
The tour was plagued with cancellations and last-minute changes due to the recurring throat problems of Guns N' Roses singer Axl Rose. Then on August 8, 1992, the two bands were performing at Montreal's Olympic Stadium when a double dose of disaster struck.
During Fade to Black, I'm up there playing the part, and these colored flames are going off. I'm a little confused on where I should be. I walk forward, I walk back.
We have these flashes of magnesium that burns at 1,200 degrees, 1,800 degrees, who knows, but hot enough to melt metal.
The pyro guy doesn't see me that I've walked back out there. A big colored flame goes right up under me. And instantly I, squint and turn.
James Hetfield looks like that torch that they carry up the stairs to light the Olympic fire.
So I'm burnt, all my arm, my hand completely down to the bone. The side of my face, hair gone, part of my back.
I said, "You all right, man?" He looked at me and he was shaking, and he brought up his hand, and I could literally see the skin rising off his hand and blister.
We see some guy come up and dump him with water and then cover him.
Well, that felt great for a second. Then I looked down and watched the skin just rising and things going wrong.
Total confusion, and adding to the mix, 50,000 people.
Lars took the stage to calm the disturbed and agitated crowd.
There was an incident with the pyrotechnics. Unfortunately, James is on his way to the hospital right now, and we're very sorry, but we can't continue the concert for you guys tonight. We will come back and finish our concert and play again for you as soon as we can within the next couple of months. Thank you, Montreal. We're sorry, okay?
This is pain I've never felt in my whole life. And it won't go away. I'm freaking at this point, Anxiety, we got to get moving.
We got him into ER. The doctors and nurses, they were great. They cut off his rings, his fingers were swelling. It was not a pretty sight. It was with the pain he was still going through and the unknown future that this was pointing the way to. One of his first thoughts was getting a replacement guitar guy to make sure the tour didn't have to stop.
James had sustained second and third degree burns to his left hand and both arms. He had stepped into a 12-foot-high, 3,200-degree tower of flame and survived. His future with the band was uncertain at best. Meanwhile, back at Olympic Stadium, a tense crowd waited for Guns N' Roses to perform.
Guns N' Roses could have come out and saved the day by going out and playing a 3-hour blistering set.
He could have been the hero of the day, We continue the show, and, you know, the band plays on, and we're here to bring music, and he throws this fit.
Axl's monitor system wasn't to his liking. Then Storm 2 of the evening kind of happened.
He'd said something into the mic and just threw it down and walked off stage. Axl didn't want to be outdone, and that's when all hell broke loose.
So the kids start freaking, turning over cop cars, fighting the police, burning everything in sight.
People just storming into the grandstands and destroying everything. Some cars were on fire, there were people hurt, and we couldn't leave.
I go and light myself on fire, and he upstages me.
And so we went into the dressing room, you know, and they were acting like nothing happened.
Axl's down there with the cigarette holder in one hand and the champagne glass in the other. He said, my voice is giving me trouble. Your voice is giving me trouble. You shouldn't probably be drinking or smoking.
And it reminded me of what it must have looked like when Rome burned and Nero played a fiddle.
We can relate to Axl and his attitude, you know. So we learned quite a bit on what not to do.
Released from the hospital the day after the Montreal riot, Hetfield began a painful ritual of 90-minute therapy sessions. Weeks would pass before he could make a fist, let alone play guitar.
This is not going to bring us down, you know. This is going to take a lot more than that to stop Metallica. We got a friend out to fill in. It's like, you know, I can still sing.
At the time, it was like he wasn't sure that he was going to ever play again.
So John Marshall has been our savior quite a few times. So it pays, you know, if you're a roadie, learn the band's songs. You could end up on stage with them.
He was very, very, very motivated to heal himself as quickly as possible. And James is the kind of guy who doesn't like letting people down.
But we've asked a lot from James Hetfield as a band, as people, and he's delivered every time.
It was always, I'm going to play. This is my life, and I don't care what happens. I'm going to continue.
When you have a record that won't go away, it gives you the opportunity to keep touring on it.
Basically turned into a challenge for us, another challenge. Hell, Metallica, we'll tour 2 years. Screw it. We got the endurance.
Metallica toured relentlessly for the next 2.5 years, playing more than 300 dates worldwide.
Obviously, they're known for touring and touring and touring and touring, but in this kind of music, they proved to be the ultimate road dogs.
Since day one, that's how we got our fan base. We got to love playing live, and touring was our thing.
The band stopped in Moscow to perform for a crowd of over 500,000 Russian rock and roll fans.
Russian boys running up, hugging you, going, "We love Metallica," you know. We've been waiting our whole lives, and the energy that we got from them was just so amazing.
But in the turbulent wake of perestroika, the enthusiasm of the crowd clashed with the Russian military authorities. Violence erupted.
It's all military, beating kids down, just whacking them. They don't understand what a release is at a show. They don't know what's going on here.
During the show, the band was unaware of the mayhem. When the music stopped, Metallica was shocked to learn about the brutality that raged while they played.
I believe there was like 200 rapes, 11 deaths, people just beaten to a pulp.
In the spring of 1992, a summer tour was planned featuring Metallica with Guns N' Roses.
We wanted to get the two biggest bands together on one bill and do a stadium tour across America.
I'd always had an infatuation with Guns N' Roses. Always had an infatuation with bands that are unpredictable and dangerous.
We learned a lot that summer. We learned what not to do as a rock band.
The tour was plagued with cancellations and last-minute changes due to the recurring throat problems of Guns N' Roses singer Axl Rose. Then on August 8, 1992, the two bands were performing at Montreal's Olympic Stadium when a double dose of disaster struck.
During Fade to